Hey, horror fans, once again, it is me, the Horror Miser Money G. It's time to review the latest home invasion. This one is a sci-fi horror film called No One Will Save You.
Don't fuck with them hoes.
Now, No One Will Save You is a 2023 American science fiction horror film that was written and directed by Brian Duffield. Now, the film stars Caitlin Dever and Daryl Lynn Griffin. Now, in this film, an exiled, anxiety-riddled homebody must battle an alien who's found its way into her home. Oh no, those pesky aliens! Just go back home. Now, horror fans, when it comes to modern horror, one of the more interesting subgenres that's become popular of late is the home invasion horror films. Just imagine you're relaxing at home, enjoying some nice time with your family and friends, and all of a sudden, strangers or creatures or whatever you want to put in there start attacking you and your family, and you have to fight for your life in order to stay alive. I mean, we've seen these types of films before, with The Strangers, we got Becky, we had Us, The Purge, and You're Next. All those films are types of home invasion horror films. However, what if there was a film that had a similar premise, but the intruders were not from this planet? Ooh. That's what writer-director Brian Duffield brings us with his latest project and entry into this subgenre. It's called No One Will Save You. Now, we're introduced to Bryn Adams, a seamstress who still lives in a childhood home that she grew up with in the small town of Mill River. Now, she's still struggling with the death over her mother, but Bryn lives a solitary life, which we learn why, as the whole town hates her. They can't stand her due to a tragic event which caused the death of her childhood friend Maud. Now, one night, Bryn notices someone has broken into her house and then realizes that the intruder is an alien? Ooh. Now, of course, this simply leads to a series of events where Bryn has to fight for her life as she wants to survive this surprise intrusion into her home. Now, you really have to give Brian Duffield credit for creating a different type of premise when it comes to the home invasion subgenre. I mean, I don't think we really have seen this type before. I mean, we've seen alien abduction horror films before, but kind of not in this style. When looking at this film, it's like he combined the elements of Independence Day, The Strangers, and E.T., and some other films. Now, you really have to give Duffield credit because he wastes no time as the invasion starts within 20 minutes of the film and doesn't hide the fact that it's aliens as well. I mean, we've seen it in the trailer, so I'm not giving it away. We've seen it in the trailers, like I said before, within the 20 minutes of the film begins, that's when all of a sudden, bang, they're in her house. Now, as the film progresses, we get to see more of the effect Brent has with the town, which adds more to the tensions and suspense because it seems they're not going to help her. No one's going to save her. I think that's the reason why we see the invasion happen so quickly, because when she wants to go into town and get somebody to help her, they don't like her, so they're not going to help her. Now, while Ben is trying her best to survive, we also get to learn more about what happened between her and Maud and why the town hates her so. I thought, like I said, it's a very interesting concept here where you actually are living in a town where you would think your neighbors would be able to help you, think your friends would be able to help you, but because of the situation that happened between her and Maud, no one is going to help her. And that kind of adds to the tension and suspense. And I actually thought it was a good idea, the concept of using aliens as in a home invasion movie, and the fact that nobody in the town likes her. So no one's going to come help her. So I thought that added to the tension and suspense. So I thought that was a good idea. Duffer added the element for this film. Now, there is another interesting concept that Duffer uses in this film, which I won't spoil, but if you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about, where it really adds more to what's happening to Bryn. Now, because of that aspect, you really have to give credit to Caitlin Dever as his movie, as it's kind of a one-woman show, and she really shines in the role. No, it's because of her facial expressions, what happening to her emotions throughout the movie, and her determination to defy carries the film, which shouldn't surprise anyone given her performances in Bad Teacher, Them That Follow, and Booksmart. I've heard Caitlin Dyler, she's a pretty good actress in this film, and it shows in this film why she was cast. She really does a good job in the role. Now, while the aliens look like your typical aliens that you've seen before, they are quite menacing and frightening, and the filmmakers did a good job with the CGI effects as well. You really believe that the aliens are real. They don't look bad. Uh, they had a pretty good budget. I believe they spent like 23 million on the budget for this particular film, and it shows was how good how aliens are. So you really do some decent CGI effects. My problem, or I kind of see you can say my only problem with the film is the third act, which runs about 10 to 15 minutes too long. And at some point, I started to get close encounters of the third kind vibes. There's a scene in the third act really kind of drags the film on. It kind of felt as though like Duffield didn't know how he wanted to end the film, and that scene kind of drags and drags and drags, almost brings the film down to a huge halt. You had a good pacing, you had a good accent, tension and suspense in the film, and then you get to that third act, and it's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? It's like he kind of is trying to still explain the situation happening between Bren and Maud, and it's like you could have did that and trimmed that third act down some. Also, the ending of the film didn't really make sense to me, as the film doesn't explain what happened to all the people in the town. Because, not to spoil anything, something happens to some of the townspeople, but I don't think it happened to everyone. So when we get to the end of the film, it kind of is like, that's it. How does that happen? That doesn't make any sense. It seems like, again, Duffield didn't know how to end the film. Overall, though, it's a decent home invasion horror film with a different twist and an interesting concept on how Duffield tells a story. Decent acting from the lead actress. Like I said before, it's that third act, the ending kind of brings the film down some. It's quite interesting because actually Lee McCoy at Drum Dums, he actually really did enjoy the film. And my good friend Sean Patrick Urshan from the Horror Corner, he actually enjoyed the film. Like I said, I did enjoy the film as well. Probably not as good as they loved it. So I'm going to give No One Will Save You only 3 out of my 5 bloody gold coins. It's pretty decent, pretty good. Like I said, the third act and the ending brings the film down some, but it was still a decent film, so I still gave it 3 out of my 5 bloody gold coins. So there you have it, guys. That is my video and review of No One Will Save You. Hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up, like, and share, because it does help out with that YouTube algorithm. Have you seen No One Have Saved You? Please leave your comments in the comment section below and tell me what you thought about the film, but please do not spoil that interesting concept. I want everyone to get a chance to see that concept in that film, so don't spoil that part. Also, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. That way you'll be notified anytime when I put a new video such as this one. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G, and always remember that horror rules. And I see you in my next video. That guy, stay safe out there.